Hi, my name is Bill Koenig from Straight Circle Martial Arts, and this is 10 reasons your joint locks don't work. Number 10, you're just too tense. When you go to apply a joint lock, it's human nature when they grab to tense up. Well, if you tense up, there's no movement in your body. So you tense, you grab him, you try and tense, he tenses, and then you fight, and then your body gets out of alignment, and it just goes to heck. When you actually put one of these on, you have to be loose enough to where you can put it on and be soft with it. If you're too tight, all the energy stops, and it'll be stopped inside you, and then it's all over. So please make sure when you do this that you learn to, when you grab people, right off the bat, you have to be comfortable enough and loose enough to do your work. Number 9, you're trying to do a technique. So if I learn a standard wrist lock and I go like this, and this guy's coming for me and I go like this and he says no and he goes to escape it, and then in my mind it stops because I'm trying to do this work. And then all of a sudden I go, well, what? I better go to the next one. And I go to the next one and he goes no and he escapes again. If he's not punching me. And then he escapes again, he escapes again. And you're always a lock behind. Like your mind is just behind their work. What you have to learn to do is feel. If I put this on him and he starts to escape, it shouldn't matter. Like I should know where he's going and I shouldn't have to look at it or feel. And if he's trying to escape, I shouldn't really care, right? It should just feel where his work is going. So again, if you go 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, you'll always be behind the work and it'll never go on. You gotta feel, go right to the work and make it happen right there. Number 8, off-balancing. If the guy you're working with is solid and strong and tight, and you go to grab him, you're never going to move him. He's in a position of strength. When you go to work somebody, you have to off-balance them. You have to put them into a position to where this works, right? So if he tightens up, I may have to move him a little bit to put that on. Right? I may have to stretch him to put this on. I may have to ding him to put it on, I don't know. But if you leave him there in a position of strength and you try to move him, you're just struggling against him and it's not going to work very well for you. So you got to make sure all the time that this guy is not on balance when you do your work. Otherwise you're just fighting it and you won't have much success. Number 7, not keeping in your center. One of the biggest things I see when people learn joint locking is they move their hands. Your hands really effectively are in this little box, right? So when I go to do this, the strength of my body is in the center. I would like to put him in the center and work from my center. If you look, my hands don't really deviate much from this position. I mean, sometimes there are some locks that happen, but for the most part, they stay in the center. A lot of people, what they do is they grab the lock and they move their hands outside of their center. They take it too far and then they lose the strength. When you do this, everything you hope, even something like this, right, stays kind of in the center of my core. And there are a few minor exceptions here and there, but for the most part right here. Otherwise, when you get outside of yourself, you lose strength and they just don't work. Number 6, wrong time. Joint locks are a tool. They're not the end all. You have to know when to use them and when they're appropriate. I was in an altercation in a bar once with a big heavy guy who was really, really drunk. And I was able to kind of joint lock him and throw him up against the bar, and that was the end of that. After that, I got involved maybe in a little melee in a parking lot with many, many people. And had I sat there and tried to joint lock one of them, odds are I probably would have got pummeled from someone else. There are times when you joint lock and there's times when you don't. If he's in here like this, and I go to joint lock him and he tightens up and I'm fighting this, it's not time. You know, sometimes I need to strike him. or hit him or kick him or something to make this joint lock happen. If I go like this and he goes to punch me in the face, this is not an appropriate time to joint lock. I feel that hand's coming, boom, maybe I have to hit him. Maybe I want to do it after, that's fine, but I got to continue my work and injure him first. There's an appropriate time for everything. Trapping, throwing, joint lock, striking. You have to know when it fits, not when you want it to fit, when it needs to fit. Number 5, understanding the locks but not the principle. Most people learn locks in a static way. They learn one grip and they do this lock over and over and over and over again. So what happens is when they grab this guy like this, they then panic and then try and do a regrip to get to the grip that they know. That takes too long. You don't have that kind of time. It's actually not the lock that's really important, it's the principle. The principle is, if you look at him, you see how this bends? It doesn't matter if I do this, if I do this, if I do this, if I do that, if I do this, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. When I grip him, wherever I grip him, it's always the same. Down, right? Just like that. So make sure when you do this that you have to go beyond the lock at some point and understand why it works, right? We all know this. Do you know how to do it like this? Do you know how to do it like this? I mean, when you get to that position, does it matter? It doesn't matter. You just have to understand how it fits and how to do it. Don't change grips 10 times. It takes too long and they won't work. Number 4, a lock's not always a lock. A lot of guys practice nice martial arts and spiritual martial arts where they don't ever want to hurt anybody. So this guy comes to me and he attacks me and I want to grab him and put him down nicely and pin him to the floor and tell him how bad he is and how wrong he is. And really, again, there's a time and place for that. There's some people who are just so incapacitated you could take care of it. Other people are not. The reality is most locks originally were not locks, they're tears. This guy has a weapon or he is like this. I don't want to put him down nicely. I want to rip this thing, right? The reason he doesn't get injured when I do this is I'm moving slow enough to where he can move with it and he doesn't get injured, right? So if I go like this and I go like this, he can move and not get injured. If I go like this, through his joint, boom, through his joint. I take his fingers, boom, right through his fingers. He doesn't have enough time to move and things tear. In a real situation, odds are that's your best choice unless you're really, really good. So don't always think of this as this nice, polite thing you're trying to do. You're trying to injure this guy, especially if he has a knife or a weapon, and tear through it. It's not a lock. Sometimes it's a tear. Number 3, you don't move your feet. When the guy comes to me, a lot of times, again, when you get scared or tense, you grab, your first instinct is to grip the ground with your legs. So I start moving this guy, and he starts moving his feet, and I don't move my feet. And what happens is I lose him. If I go to put this on, and he starts to adjust and move, I need to move with him. He moves, I need to move with him. I need to adjust with him all the time, no matter where he goes. Again, I'm limited in camera space here, so we're not moving that much. But the reality is if he comes and I go to take him and he goes to move, I have to move with him all the time. So you have to learn to stick to your guy and blend with him. Otherwise, he's going to either come in too close and wreck you, or he's going to go out too far and you won't have any strength. So when you practice your joint locking, it's not enough to learn the locks. You need to learn to move your feet and stay with your guy. Number 2, you don't understand their tension or their relaxation. Usually there's 2 types of tension when people attack you, right? There's a tension where he grabs you and he tries to hurt you or move you, and you can use this tension. Like that tension we can all use real quick. The second type of tension is I go to grab him and he pulls in and he says no. Look, his mind now went from to me back to him. So he's defending himself. While he's protecting his body, you're trying to pull on this. You're wasting your day. You can't work against somebody who's protecting themselves this way. So you're working into their tension. It's not going to happen. His mind is now here. I want his mind to go somewhere else, right? His mind is here. I want his mind to go somewhere else so I can work on this now. Don't sit there and fight the lock. The other thing you got to deal with is relaxation. You know, if you attack somebody, you got to take them down, they're not ready for it, they're relaxed, it works really good, right? Just boom and down. But if he's loose and he's trying to escape, it's very hard to grab somebody who's not letting you do it because they're just so relaxed. You can't even get a grip on them. Same thing applies. If his mind is escaping, I need to take his mind off the escape into his own pain or his own tension to give me something to work on. So don't fight things that aren't appropriate. If he's too tense inside fighting himself or he's trying to escape, take his mind off it so you can start applying your work. Number one, your style just doesn't focus on it. A lot of styles teach joint locks as a trick. Like they like to show off. The teacher likes to show, ooh, look, I can create pain on people. And they practice it for 15 minutes once a month. Joint locking and tears is a really intricate work. It takes a lot of years, it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of banging around with people who don't let you do it, people who are bigger and stronger. Joint locking is not two guys going back and forth like this once a month, and then you think it's going to happen. If you don't practice them a lot, and you don't practice them under stress, if you're ever attacked, don't use them. You're going to get hurt. It's okay if you want to play with them, but don't ever try and use something that you're not comfortable with. It's silly. Either do or don't. If you practice them a lot, great, use them. If you don't practice them enough and you want to use them, you better start practicing more. This has been Bill Koenig for Straight Circle Martial Arts. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.